Well, we had a little typo there with your name, Bill. It's Bill Vass, not Bill Vass. Anyway,
Hey,
hey, Bill, welcome to the show. How's it going?
how are you guys doing?
Great to
Great.
see
This
you
this
again.
is this is interesting because AM, you and Bill talked about this time last year in
We did.
preparation for reInvent. So it's kind of like bringing the band back together. I'm excited that I was invited to be a part of this. So
Deja vu. Yeah, all over again. It's that way every year. It's been that way for like almost 10 years. It's like reinvent. It's a very exciting time of year for us and stressful too. We've got a lot. It's like for folks in Amazon, we've got the big launches for all the retail that runs on us, right? So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. At the same time as we're launching all of these new services, and there's actually an area of reInvent where the teams are sitting there, and when Adam says, and announcing today, they're turning the consoles on, which is very stressful to be doing, but it's exciting too. It's a lot of adrenaline and all of that, and then watching all the people try it out and all the loads and jump up and those kinds of things. So it's a very fun, exciting, energetic time of year for us.
I've worked alongside launch marketing for most of my reInvents, and it is amazing what goes into, from the minute the words leave whoever is announcing the service to the service appearing in the AWS console.
Yeah.
It's a ballet of coordination.
And you have to be very careful not to accidentally leak something in the console, because the press picks it up immediately. So it's fascinating to see how all that works, and you're just getting all the regions ready for the capacity needed both for the shopping season and reInvent. So it's like I said, it's both stressful and exciting at the same time. And of course, the whole event team for reInvent's a really big event. So trying to get all that organized, and like for myself, I just got off meeting with my keynote team that I'm working on my keynote with. So I'm doing emerging technology and innovation keynote. So if you guys are interested in innovation and emerging technology, you should look it up and go to the keynote. It's going to be a lot of fun, cool stuff that we're doing kind of across the company, and be talking about. We don't talk about futures a lot at Amazon. We'll be talking a bit about futures, kind of opening the covers on some of the things in our strategy and some of the things we're doing in our futures. And then been working really closely with Peter DeSantis on his keynote. So he's stealing the thunder for one of my teams. We have this huge launch I can't talk about, but it's going to be big in the press and all the other stuff. He's going to steal my thunder because it's such a big launch, but I'm excited to have him do it. He's doing a really good job. It's been interesting, working with him and sort of training him on the stuff we're doing and having my teams work closely with him. He does a good job on these launches, so it should be fun. And then there's a lot going on with some of my customers with Adam too. So I think that'll be interesting too, and trying to get ready for those keynotes. So I've got like stuff feeding into Adam and feeding into Peter, not so much into Swami's keynote, and stuff feeding into Dave's keynote, and stuff feeding into my keynote, and so there's a lot happening there. And then there'll be some of the keynotes I used to do, like on Cloud Ops. So Nandini's going to be in the Cloud Ops this year, so that's going to be great to see her do that. She's really good at that, so you should definitely attend that session as well. And I'm sure Swami's always got something up his sleeve.
Oh yeah,
machine learning. So there'll be an awful lot of machine learning stuff there. So it's and new instances launches too, and some big partnerships discussions, and so a lot of cool stuff coming.
Yeah, there's always our buddy Werner, of course, too. That's one of my favorite keynotes. But Bill.
Yeah, last year Werner was like, everything I've done at AWS was his keynote.
Right.
He started with storage and eventing. Like our team did the CloudWatch events and how all that worked, and then he went into 3-dimensional worlds and simulation and ended in quantum computing. So it was like I spent a huge amount of time with his team last year. This year, not so much. So I actually don't know what he's doing. So I'm going to be surprised.
So last year was kind of a Bill Vass, "This is your life" situation.
Right. It was
You know,
very
it's interesting. A lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people can assume how much work goes into each of these keynotes. Probably more than you're assuming, to be honest. I've got a little behind the scenes, backstage insight into it. One of my friends is Nick Walsh, and he's on the team that builds these keynotes. You're probably working with that team, and I mean, the work is it starts so early in the year, and it goes up until you step out onto
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, I just was reviewing my keynote, every other day as we kind of go through and pull it together, and the parts that I do and the parts that the team does. And I did with him a keynote at the big automotive show in Munich, which was a very, very, very fun keynote where I had I had ML build me a car and adapt the car. So this is a great story. So I got up on stage and I said, Stable Diffusion make me a car, and it made a very compelling car, which I really liked. And then I said, in the future, what you'll be able to do is say, calculate the computational fluid dynamics, the drag coefficient on this. You'll be able to create 2D to 3D and do it. So my team in HPC heard that keynote and they went out and did it. They actually published a blog on the whole thing. So I'll be talking about that actually so that's a little preview in my keynote, how you can go from these 2D images through converting them to 3D, through doing machine learning for computation fluid dynamics, and then have it dynamically change your car. When you say, I want to have better, aerodynamics, it just changes the car on the fly. It's just super cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how all of the ideas around generative AI, it's exponentially ballooning because one good idea leads to someone else coming up with another idea, and there's that spark. And now we're like 6 to 8 months into the real heaviness of Gen AI, and we're seeing a lot of these really cool ideas. And I imagine we're going to hear a lot of cool Gen AI stuff at reInvent this year. So looking forward to that. But I agree.
Probably nothing about it.
I'm excited.
It's all everybody's been talking about all year, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I like what Bill was mentioning. You were saying beyond that. What's 2025? What's 2026?
Yeah.
What's the next thing? So I'm excited to hear more about that. So I'm glad you brought that up, Bill.
Yeah, for sure.
2025, 2026, I can tell you, is the IPO of my alien communication tool.
Right.
Y'all can get in early if you want. The cap table's open. I'm looking for investors. Only joking. But yeah, Bill, let's talk a little bit about reInvent. So you've been going a long time. I've been going since about 2017. I just wrote a big post. You probably won't believe this, especially since I'm talking in front of 7,000 plus people right now. I'm an introvert, secret introvert. reInvent's always a challenge for me every year because it's just so much, so overwhelming, so many people. But it's something for me. I wrote a post about this, the introvert's guide to reInvent. It's worth getting over the anxiety, getting into the social aspect of it, because you can meet so many incredible people. So in that same vein, Bill, what are your tips outside of the, go to the keynotes, go to the sessions? What are the tips that people aren't thinking about?
So pick your favorite service, go to the breakout sessions on that, and stay after and talk to the real engineers that build it.
Yeah.
They're also introverted, generally speaking. So they kind of get forced to be on stage. Usually it's a product manager doing a lot of talking and then some of the engineers doing some talking, but you take the time to do that. Attend some of the sessions. There's some really amazing sessions on things you're interested in. There'll actually be a session on XR using these with Gen AI, where you can generate art images in a virtual art gallery. There'll be things where so this is a little bit of a preview. So this is an app you can play with on your phone that turns your phone into an IoT device, and then you can watch it in the cloud and stuff like that in the IoT sessions. There'll be work with sidewalk in there with these little sensors and things like that too. So I think there's a whole bunch of sort of hands-on things that you can do. There'll be sessions on of course, the deeper stuff like working in with S3 or working on Dynamo or and a whole bunch of Gen AI sessions as well. So I think taking the time to look through the catalog, that's be one thing. I think, on your first day there, get familiar with the locations. If you haven't been there, it's a big facility. Take the time to just walk to the places you want to get to it ahead of time. Spend a half hour, walk around, get familiar where all the rooms are and the routes, figure out how to walk through the casino and back and up and down those areas there. It takes a little while. The good news is now we have the answer people everywhere with the little flags. So don't hesitate to ask them dumb questions. That's what they're there for. Or how do I get you? I do all the time. Like, how do I get to this? And I've been there 1,000 times. Like, how do I get to this? What's the fastest path to this? Right. And so make sure you use that in place. So I think spending some time looking ahead of time and prep will really make your experience much better. But I would encourage you to talk to sit after this, spread out your sessions so you can come after the session and talk to the engineers directly and talk to the people that are actually building the services. And, we love feedback. I know that a lot of people are often like, I don't have enough connections on my VPC, and I don't really want to go complain to the guy who did VPCs or the woman that did VPCs about that. Go complain. We love that kind of feedback. Seriously, so I encourage you to complain. You got things that and sometimes you'll complain. They'll say, "Oh, here's how to fix that," right? Or they'll say, "Yep. I've heard that 5 or 6 times," and we really do listen. And a lot of our people think we're so innovative. The reality is we just listen to our customers and build what they tell us.
Exactly.
Right. So help us with that innovation and tell us what you need.
Yeah. What's interesting, you say that people don't want to bother the service folks, but in reality, as a solutions architect, that's my job, is to bother the service people. So it's in your best. They want to hear you complain about it because that's what's going to drive the roadmap. So no, that's a great point.
Yeah. Don't be hesitant. I mean, we do, listen a lot. And, the more we hear from customers, the better we can deliver products that make the customers happy, because we're always trying to work back from the products. That's sort of a foundation. Customer obsession is the foundation of AWS and Amazon. And so we're always working backwards from customers, and we're always there to listen. So reInvent's a great time to learn. So take some training classes. It's not a sales show. It's a training and information show. Take the time to learn and be curious. That's going to be important. Interact. But the other thing that I would encourage you to do is to go to the birds of the feather meetings, where you can meet other people either in your industry or other people who are also using DynamoDB or also using Aurora or also using, and you can hear how they've solved problems and learn from that. So learning from each other and building those kind of lasting relationships is really important.
Pure Talk. I gotta push Pure Talk out there too. Sign up for a Pure Talk session with there's a whole list of people that you can get to meet. I know Jeff Barr's always in there. A bunch of the developer advocates are in there. There's tons of people you can meet through Pure Talk as well.
Yeah, and get take time to go to the exhibit floor. We'll have some cool robots. We'll have some driverless cars. We'll have there's a whole bunch of interesting things that you'll be able to do there. You can play with snowballs and snow cones and see those. You can, there'll be outposts there if you want to see what an outpost looks like. Usually, don't quote me on that. I haven't checked this year. I'm sure there'll be snowballs, but those are always interesting things to see there. So yeah, and definitely wear comfortable shoes.
Right.
That's a really good. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot further than you think from one to another. It's a huge facility. So yeah,
I think we popped up a message from a viewer about your feet will begin to hurt after day 2. And because it's the whole week, what's interesting is during each day, your feet will get tired like Monday. Your feet will be tired at the end of the day. Yeah. And then Tuesday, your feet will be tired at like 5 p.m. And then Wednesday, your feet will start to hurt at like 1 p.m. p.m. And then Thursday and Friday, you wake up and your feet are already hurting. So that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, but I think the other just geographic tips. If you come from a place like Seattle, like I do, you're going to want, bring some nose spray, some saline nose spray, and some
Dry.
Oh yeah, because it's dry. It is really dry. So that
maybe
would be
even like a travel humidifier, like a USB humidifier for your room. Big difference.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, don't. That's a non-technical tip for reinvent. So.
That's right. Yeah, on that line, rubber tables, bring lip balm, eye drops, lotion. I'm limiting myself to one plug. That's it for game day. I'm gonna have to though, because you were talking about learning earlier, Bill. And game day, I gotta plug it because I'm on the team, but I'd plug it even if I wasn't. It is a fully interactive way to learn. So we've got multiple sessions this year. We got one main game day per day, and all of them are themed to different, technology areas. We've got a generative AI game day, of course. We've got cost optimization. We've got building front end applications and modern applications. We've got one with F1. So if you're a Formula One fan, go check that out. And we've got one with that's in the expo hall actually for Riot Games, League of Legends. And we got a networking one. So like I'm not very strong on my networking background. This would be a great opportunity for me to go if I had the time and participate in. But you get access to a free AWS account. It's got architecture and infrastructure set up in it already. That's oftentimes broken, and you and a team have to work together to solve the challenges. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of hands-on interactive ways of learning the services. So that's my one plug. That's
Okay.
Let me add on to that. Bill mentioned learning and active learning role. So, and he also talked about the breakout sessions for the services that you're interested in, and maybe even the industries that you're interested in. But two types of sessions there are builder sessions and workshops. And they're kind of the same thing with two big differences. Builder sessions are 1 hour, so they're usually a little bit quicker, and you group with like 5 other people, and you're assigned one AWS person leading your table. Workshop is same type of thing. You build something there, but you're in a room with maybe 100 people, and a few AWS folks will kind of kick you off and be walking around to help out everyone. So a little bit more one-on-one time with a builder session, but shorter time, and but a workshop a little bigger avenue, longer, but you're still building. So look at those items in the catalog as well. And builder sessions get in line early because they fill up in their limited space. It's only a small number of seats. So
yeah.
But like you said, Bill, lots of opportunities to get interactive with AWS services. It's not just about talking about them. It's actually about getting exposure to them, learning how they actually work in context as well, right? That's the bigger part, right? You can look at one service or go to a talk about, a service and get, the overall features for that. But you don't really get to know the service until you see it in context of a much larger operation, right?
Yeah, there are so many services, and getting to understand them and leverage them is really accelerate your capabilities as a developer and or business leader. So I would certainly take it. And if you're an executive, there's also an executive track as well that you can get in, and that connects you with other industry leaders in your industry, which I think is quite good. And you'll get to interact with some of our senior execs as well in that space. But and don't be afraid. If you see myself or Dave Brown or anybody walking the hallways, you can always come up and talk to us. We're always open. So make sure you do that too. I mean, I think you've got a lot of capability to meet a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
So AM, I think, people might come up and recognize you or me, but I think this would be a chance to see Bill walking down the hall and say hi. And because we see Bill in a lot of promotional videos, like I always go back to the snow cone video you did with Jeff Barr and everything like that. So I was just about to say, this is the time to see folks like Jeff Barr, like Bill Vass, like Warner walking around, and me and AM, we have a little bit better access to folks like you, but if you're coming to reInvent, this is your time to stop them and say hi. So
yeah, Bill. So let me ask. This is going to be a hard question for you to answer. Maybe you could give a top three. What are your top three things that you're looking forward to at this year's reInvent? I mean, that's especially going for as long as you have, right? Like,
So for me, I love talking to customers. I've got literally, actually, my admin showed me that I have 1,400 people who've asked for meetings. So I have to kind of go through. Of course, those happen usually like 40 people at a time, like an organization and group. And so we're going through kind of organizing that. And spending time in those. So that's
what
exciting.
That means. AM is that me and you are pretty privileged. We get him to ourselves for these 20 minutes. So thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I'm looking forward to the launches of the keynotes, because some of them are our team's launches, and that's very exciting for my team and to see what they're doing, and for myself, and see the big launches. That's something that is always fun. The replay party is always fun to go to. It's an interesting thing to spend time on. Customer dinners is something else that, I meet with a lot of customers at dinners and things like that too. And hearing feedback from customers. The other thing that I have to admit, that one of my favorite things about AWS in general is to see the innovation our customers do with our products.
Yeah, it's incredible.
When I sit down with someone like John Deere, where they've built a digital twin of their factory, and they're showing me the digital twin, and then they innovate something like they added to TwinMaker a call to the Chime API, so that their QC person can interact directly with someone on the shop floor through the digital twin in a video call, just to click a button. And I never thought to do that. I'm like, that is so cool. I can't believe you did that. Or I was, watching a simulation where people were simulating that they would show the actual metro centers in TwinMaker and all the people moving around. And then they would say, let's see what happens if three trains arrive at once and an elevator's broken, and they switch to simulation mode. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe you did that. That is so cool. So so much of the stuff that I see from the customers, where I just can't believe the cool stuff they're doing on our services, right? And how they've pulled them together. So I think that's something I enjoy even more.
I have the same experience, but I hang out a lot with the AWS heroes and AWS community builders, and they're doing similar things. Like, they're out there writing a bunch of the content that when you go out and search, Lambda layer, a bunch of AWS hero content pops up. And so getting to hang out with them and listen to them talk, sometimes they're deeper in the services than I ever could be, right? Like they know the ins and outs of these things. I was just reading, there's a AWS serverless hero, AJ, who wrote a long, post about Lambda layers, and there were a bunch of things about Lambda layers. I've been using Lambda layers since they launched, but I was like, wow, okay, no, AJ's got me here. He knows way more. And that's how I feel every time I get to hang out with him. So if you're at reInvent, you should seek out the heroes. They hang out in the developer community area a lot in the expo hall. A lot of them are giving talks, but seek them out. They're incredibly knowledgeable. It's
also the AWS ambassadors, partner ambassadors. There's an ambassador night, and I think there's, we'll have awards and things like that. So I think that's another area to take a look at too. So I mean, there's so much. Just take the time to read ahead of time, see what you're going to be interested in, get signed up for things, plan your time, walk a little bit ahead of time so you're at least familiar with where everything is. You don't want to be at the last minute trying to find a room for an important thing you want to go to. You want to kind of have an idea in your mind where it is. Use the Amazon reInvent app.
Yeah.
Another thing too, it's got a lot in it, and a lot going on in those places. Arrive early for some of the keynotes. They fill up fast. So I think those would be all good examples of things to be looking for.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Bill. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, for example, the keynotes, I encourage people, like, sometimes they get put off if the keynote hall is full, but there's usually like a big community of people hanging out at benches and little areas that are all watching it in overflow areas, and those are often more valuable because you can people kind of talk about what's going on. So look for those overflow areas.
All the keynotes will be live streamed too, so if you can't get in, you can watch on a live stream.
That's true.
And then you can stick around and watch me and Jeff on the live stream too.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways, Bill, I know you've got to get back to it, but we do appreciate your time. I'll prove to you, because you mentioned replay, I'll prove to you I am an introvert. I've been going, 6-7 years now, never been to replay.
Oh, you got to go. You got to at least go and get deafened by the sound.
Yeah, I already am in this year. So
AM, does anyone know who the headliner is yet? Because that's usually a big thing.
Oh, that's a secret. You can't say that.
Tells me that Bill knows and he's not going to tell us. Come on, Bill.
Only Werner knows. That's a Werner knows thing. Werner does that.
Right.
So.
Tabitha, we need to get Werner on here.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much for joining us again this year to talk to us about reInvent, and I guess I'll see you at reInvent.
Yeah, and have fun, and take advantage of, like I said, take advantage of all the tech talks and all of the AWS folks that'll be there, and your peers and folks in the same industries. That's the best time to do it.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks again, Bill.
Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.